I'm Kim Drusch with Century 21 Award, and today I'm going to talk to you about short sales from two different vantage points, buyers and sellers. So first thing, Mr. Seller, if you need some help, you need to call me right away. Don't stick your head in the sand. We need to address this head on, and let's find out what your position is, what the banks are going to do for you, and how you're going to best make this market to your advantage. So first of all, what they're going to ask you for if you need to short sell your home, and this is in a nutshell, they're going to want 2 years tax returns, 2 months bank statements, 2 months pay stubs, and a letter stating as to why you have a hardship. Why can't you make your payment? With that, we also need an offer. We get an offer from a buyer, we put the package together, we submit it to the sellers, and right about now, today, this is March of 2011, the system is getting a little bit more efficient. So it's taking about 3 months to wrap up a short sale. Used to be 6 to 9, so we're doing great. So it takes about 3 months to get the job done. Now, Mr. Seller, while you're doing this short sale, there's a couple things I want you to remember. Number one, I want you to keep your HOA dues and your taxes current. That's really important because if you don't, your bank may not agree to pay to them, and there are some buyers who won't agree to pay them, and so consequently your short sale won't happen for something as small as back HOAs or back taxes. So keep those current. Number two, keep the property in good living condition. Keep it cleaned up, keep the water on, and keep your landscaping looking good to the end. It's not fair to trash the property, and it's not fair to leave the landscaping in disrepair. And quite frankly, you can get a stronger offer if your property looks better. The reason why you want a stronger buyer is because you want that buyer that's going to hang in there. Right now they have 12,000 choices on the market, literally 12,000 listings in San Diego County today. So they have a lot of choices. They may not hang in there on your short sale. And they're doing you a huge favor, to be honest with you, because if they can come in and negotiate a great price and put together the transaction with the bank, you get saved from having to become a foreclosure. So keep the house in great condition as much as you possibly can. Now, if you want to help your credit out a little bit, I'm going to recommend that you try and make a payment within 90 days. If you go past 90 days, it tends to affect your credit even greater. And the final thing I want to let you know is, if you do short sale your home, right now the lenders are saying that you have to wait 3 years on a short sale. A foreclosure, you have to wait 4 years before you can buy back in. In addition to that, we are seeing that the credit scores are less affected on a short sale than they are a foreclosure. So if those things are important to you, buying into the market again and your credit score, a short sale is more advantageous than a foreclosure. So that's from the seller's perspective. Now let's talk about it from a buyer's perspective. Typically when a buyer comes to me, I'm going to recommend that we don't go for the short sales when they first come on the market, and here's why. Remember that 3-month time frame I'm telling you about? Well, during that 3 months while the buyer is waiting, and let's say an agent puts a price of $300,000 on the property. That's their price. It has nothing to do with what the bank will or won't accept. A good agent will do their comps and put an accurate value on it, but a lot of agents just want to get an offer to submit to the bank and get in front of the line, and so they will underprice the house. So while you, Mr. Buyer, you come to me and go, oh, Kim, I found the best deal and it's $300,000. I will say to you, you know what, that house comps more about $340,000, $350,000. I think that's a price that you're not going to be able to get from the bank. So instead of writing your offer in the beginning, what I tend to tell my buyers is wait until someone else has stood in line. And here's my analogy. Let's say we're in Kmart, it's a blue light special, you got the last big flat screen on the shelf, it's getting very heavy, you're in a very long line, and when you get to the front, your cashier's going to go on break. That's what a short sale is like. It's a little exhausting. So along the way, while these buyers are standing with this fabulous house and what they think is a fabulous price, they're going to get unenamored with the whole process. So by the time they get to the front of the line and they realize the bank's not going to allow that price, that house is getting pretty darn heavy, and they walk away. At that time, I move my buyers in. Now we know what the terms are, because here's the tricky part. The first lender may say, okay, you offered $300,000 on the house, but we really want $340,000 on the house. Now, not only that, there's a second lender. The second lender says, well, you owe me, Mr. Seller, $80,000, And so on that, on this transaction, I want $8,000. I want 10%, which is kind of typical these days. So they want $8,000. First lender says, okay, well, you're willing to pay for the house. I'm only going to give $3,000 of my money to the second. The second lender says, well, I don't agree. If they don't agree, we don't have a deal, and that house goes into foreclosure. So you've got to get both lenders to agree. Now, do you see how complicated the process is? All the more reason you need a great agent to walk you through this, this maze that we've got going on. So now second lender says, I want $8,000. First lender says, I'll give you $3,000 of it. Who's going to come up with that extra $5,000? Is it Mr. Seller, who's already saying he's painfully financially strapped? No, it's going to be Mr. Buyer coming up with it. So while Mr. Buyer comes in and thinks he's offering $300,000 on the house, he now has the first shock. The first lender says, we want $340,000. Now the second lender says to Mr. Buyer, by the way, I'll take $5,000 extra. So in addition to the $340,000, you've got to pay an extra $5,000. Along comes the mortgage insurance. They say, we want $3,000 more. Who's going to pay it? Mr. Buyer, because typically Mr. Seller says he doesn't have it. So now Mr. Buyer has to come up with even more. Now, if the seller has not kept up with their property taxes and their HOAs, guess what, Mr. Buyer? Your bill is getting longer and longer and longer. So instead of taking my buyers to a short sale on day 1 or 2 and sitting there going, ooh, we're going to get it for $300,000, chances are, no, you're not. So instead, what I do is search the market for those transactions on the MLS that say, or sorry, those listings on the MLS that say, buyer bailed, need buyer immediately. Now, someone else has carried that heavy TV to the front of the line, and I walk my buyer in, they hand my buyer the TV, and out they go because they're exhausted. So now my buyers know exactly what price they're going to pay for that. They know what the first wants, the second wants, the mortgage insurance, whether we're behind on HOAs, and whether we're behind on taxes. So can you see the advantage of really knowing what the short sale price is? So while you're out there shopping, don't think, ooh, look at these great prices. Think, wow, I need a great agent to help me figure out what the price really is on this transaction. Finally, here's one more little wrench to throw in the works. Every agent works differently. Some agents will, when the offer comes in at $300,000, some agents will have the seller sign, the buyer sign, and now they send it into the bank hoping for an agreement. The buyer finds out that the bank wants more money. The buyer finds out that there's a second, mortgage insurance, back HOAs, and back property taxes, and the buyer says, wait, I didn't agree to all that. Perfect, Mr. Seller, do you know what you have to do now? If the buyer's not going to pay for it, they have to cancel that transaction because both parties have agreed, so we need a formal cancellation. You know what some buyers are doing? Disappearing. They're not canceling it. So now what are you going to do? You cannot go into escrow, accept another buyer, because you've got 2 signatures on the contract. So when I represent a seller in a short sale, what I do instead is I send the strongest offer that we have in hand into the bank, but I send the bank a note. We have multiple offers on this, Mr. Bank, and we haven't formally accepted any of them. I want you to review. I will let you know when you open this file what offers I have in hand, and you tell me which transaction you want to accept. Now the bank has agreed, okay, we don't care which offer you take, but this is the price we want. I now go back to the 3 or 4 buyers I have in hand and say, here's the price. Here's the first lender, the second lender, here's the back HOAs, here's the back taxes, here's what the rules really are. Who wants this deal? Now somebody steps up and they go, I do, maybe multiple people. The highest offer, then the bank will accept. So instead of locking into one buyer who doesn't know the terms and in all fairness may not want to stay in the transaction, instead I keep the options open for my sellers because I want to make sure that they are put to the best possible advantage in a very trying situation. So if all of this seems a little too complicated, don't be an armchair real estate agent. Give me a call and let me talk to your specific needs. If you're a buyer, let me get you through this maze. If you're a seller, let me help you get out from under this. It's absolutely critical because today is the day of the real estate professional. No more part-time agents, no more armchair real estate agents. Let somebody help you, because you do not pay. If you're a buyer, you don't pay for your agent. And if you're a seller, the bank will pay my commission if it's a short sale. So those are my tips of the days. This is March 2011. That's my update on short sales. Call me today about your specific situation. I do want to help. I can help, and so far I'm batting 1,000. I'm Kim Drusch with Century 21 Award. My number is 760-580-9195. I can't wait to get a text, a phone call, or an email from you.